know what she is telling you.
We were speaking of music, madam.
What of her eyes, there in her head? The brightness of a cheek which shines those stars as daylight doth a lamp.
Ah, music! It is of all subjects my delight. If I had ever studied, I would have been a great proficient. So would have, if her health had allowed her to learn. Miss Bennett, I insist you play for us. Mrs. Collins tells me you are tolerably good.
Oh, truly, Lady Catherine, I do not think...
Darcy, how does Georgiana get along?
And what of the gardeners?
Darcy!
Your uncle Gardner was by trade noble dedication. For here he resides within view of his own warehouses.
Darcy, I am speaking to you.
Pull yourself together, madam. Georgiana.
Yes, yes. She gets on extremely well, thank you, madam.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it. And tell her from me that she cannot expect to excel on the pianoforte unless she practice a great deal.
Do you mean to frighten me, Mr. Darcy, by coming in all this state to hear me? I will not be alarmed. My courage always rises with every attempt to intimidate me.
I have had the pleasure of your acquaintance long enough, Miss Bennet, to know that you sometimes take great delight in professing opinions which are not, in fact, your own.
It is ungenerous of you, Mr. Darcy, to mention all that you knew to my disadvantage in Hertfordshire. And, give me leave to say, impolitic too, for it is provoking me to retaliate, and such things may come out as will shock your relations to hear.
Oh, I'm not afraid of you.
Come, I would like to know how he behaves himself among strangers.
Well then, prepare yourself for something very dreadful. The first time of my ever seeing Mr. Darcy was at a ball where gentlemen were scarce, and, to my certain knowledge, more than one young lady was sitting down for want of a partner. And what do you think he did? He absolutely refused to dance. Mr. Darcy, you cannot deny the fact.
Perhaps I should have judged better had I sought an introduction, but at the time I had not the pleasure of knowing any lady in the assembly beyond that of my own party.
True, and no one can ever be introduced in a ballroom.
I'm not qualified to recommend myself to strangers.
Shall we ask him why? Why a man of sense and education who has been brought up in the world should be ill qualified to recommend himself to strangers?
It is because he will not give himself the trouble.
I have not the talent which some people possess of conversing easily with those whom I have never seen before.
My fingers do not move over this instrument in the masterly manner which I see so many other women's do. But I have always supposed that to be my own fault, because I would not take the trouble of practicing.
Neither must perform to strangers, then.
Darcy, of what are you speaking? I must partake of the conversation.
I cannot Though that no longer matters, I sometimes wonder, do you remember in a lifetime does true love come more than once? I see the face of love and I have softly called your name. I never knew such happiness. And although that no longer matters, I sometimes wonder, do you remember me? Do you
Your play has been a delight and welcome diversion, Miss Bennet.
Thank you.
May I accompany you on your way home to the parsonage? That is, unless my cousin would desire the honor.
I do believe he is partial to you, Lizzie.
Oh, I cannot imagine that is the case, Charlotte. Thank you. No, I am sure Mr. Darcy would prefer to assist Miss de Bourgh.
Miss Bennet, I will see you later, cousin. Come, Cousin Anne. Let's head about the grounds.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Darcy. You are too kind.
I am actually very, very kind.
I believe Mr. Darcy's fault is the propensity to hate everyone.
And Miss Elizabeth is to willfully misunderstand them.
I imagine your cousin must have brought you down with him chiefly for the object of having someone at his disposal. I wonder that he does not marry so as to secure someone permanently at his disposal. Though, perhaps, his sister and Mr. Bingley may do very well for the present.
Ah, Bingley. He seems a pleasant gentleman, and I believe he's a great friend of Darcy's. In fact, on the journey down, Darcy congratulated himself on having recently saved a friend from the inconveniences of a most imprudent marriage. Although he mentioned it without names or other particulars, I suspect it to be Bingley.
Did Mr. Darcy give reasons for his interference?
I believe there are some very strong objections against the lady. Miss Bennet, are you unwell?
No. No, thank you, Colonel. I am quite well. I am only thinking that I do not see what right Mr. Darcy had to determine and direct in what manner his friend was to be happy. Though, perhaps there was not much affection in the case.
Perhaps.
We cannot judge since we do not know the particulars.
Certainly.
And perhaps he wished to save Mr. Bingley for his sister.
Perhaps. Good evening, Miss Bennet. I take my leave, reluctant.
Good night, Colonel. Wretched, conceited, arrogant man! What right had he to be the judge? To Jane herself there is no possible objection. Full of loveliness and goodness is she. Neither her manners unexpected, sir.
I apologize, but I did not dare wait. Miss Bennet, you must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. You must know, you must see that your inferiority, the degradation of your birth, the obstacles of your family inbreeding, this is significantly against you, and yet it will not do. I must assure you of the strength of my attachment, which, despite all my best endeavors, I have found impossible to conquer. Miss Bennet, will you now reward me with the acceptance of my hand in marriage?
Mr. Darcy, if I could feel gratitude toward you, sir, I would now thank you, but I cannot. I have never desired your good opinion, and you have certainly bestowed it most unwillingly. I am very sorry to have caused you pain, and I hope it will be of short duration.
This, then, is all the reply which I am to have the honor of expecting. I might inquire why with so little endeavored civility I am thus rejected.
And I might inquire why, with so evident a desire of offending and insulting me, you chose to tell me that you like me against your will, against your reason, and even against your character. Was this not some excuse for incivility if I was uncivil? But you must know that I also have other provocations. Do you think that any consideration could tempt me to accept a man who has been the means of ruining, perhaps forever, the happiness of a most beloved sister? Can you deny that you have done it?
I have no wish of denying that I did everything in my power to separate Bingley from your sister, or that I rejoice in my success. Towards him I have been kinder than towards myself.
But it is not merely on this that my dislike of you is founded. Long before it had taken place, my opinion of you was decided. Your character was unfolded to me in the recital which I had many months ago from Mr. Wickham.
You take an eager interest in that gentleman's concerns.
Who that knows not what, but why and how his misfortunes have been, can help but feeling an interest in him.
His misfortunes, yes! His misfortunes have been great indeed!
And of your infliction.
This, then, is your opinion of me. This, the estimation in which you hold me. I thank you for explaining it so fully. Perhaps your bitter accusations might have been suppressed had I flattered you into the belief of my being impelled towards you by unqualified, unalloyed inclination.
You are mistaken, Mr. Darcy.
But disguise of every kind is my abhorrence.
You are mistaken. You merely spared me any concern which I might have felt in refusing you had you behaved in a more gentlemanlike manner. Your selfish disdain for the feelings of others, your arrogance, your conceit. I had not known you a month before I felt that you were the last man in the world whom I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
You have said quite enough, madam. I perfectly comprehend your feelings, and have now only to be ashamed of what my own have been. Forgive me for having taken up so much of your time, and accept my best wishes for your health and happiness. Do not be alarmed, madam, on receiving this letter, for fear of its containing any of this evening's sentiments which were so disgusting to you. It is my character alone that requires this letter be written and read. I had not been long in Hertfordshire before I saw that Bingley preferred your elder sister to any other young woman of his attentions. I observed my friend closely. Your sister I also watched, and I concluded that While she enjoyed Bingley's attentions, her own feelings did not equal his. Furthermore, the situation of your mother's family, though objectionable, was nothing in Bingley's situation in comparison to that total want of propriety so frequently displayed by your mother, your 3 younger sisters, and even occasionally by your father.
Oh, you, Mr. Bingley, not in the home, nothing happened tonight with my Jane.
We dressed Chamberlain up on purpose for a joke to pass for a lady.
Let me do, child, you the light was falling up.
With respect to that other, more weighty accusation of having injured Mr. Wickham, I can refute it only by laying bare before you the whole of his connection with my family. My father was very fond of George Wickham, from the time that he was a youth.
Well, George, how are you getting on with your studies?
Mr. Darcy, when I study, I think only of pleasing you, and how my own dear father is indebted to you for your care of me.
Oh, you're a good boy, George, and I will see to it that you are well taken care of when I am gone. There will be a living for you as a clergyman in the church, George. Keep up the good work.
I certainly shall, sir. That's all to the rivet of rotten egg.
I thought you said you were studying.
Don't be as blind as your father, Darcy. Since when do I ever study?
Perhaps on the last occasion you told the truth.
Perhaps. Ah, there's your creepy cousin Anne. Today I think I might drop a big hairy spider down the back of her dress.
Wickham, you would not dare.
Oh, wouldn't I? Miss Anne, Miss Anne.
And she was never the same again. But that is an example of Wickham's more innocent diversions where young ladies are concerned.
£1,000 from you to me, Darcy, and I'll leave you alone in peace. I'll live in town, in idleness and depravity. Then sudden misfortune overcame me, and I wrote to Darcy, demanding from him the church living that I had earlier rejected.
And I declined to provide it, not believing him fit for the duties of a man of God. I again made financial provision for him.
And he heard from me no more.
How he lived, I knew not.
Until that summer. Dear Mrs. Young, hello, Miss Darcy. Was a surprise that we should all be here at Ramsgate together. What could be better? How is the weather?
Mr. Wickham, Miss Georgiana,
How convenient that you should appear.
it's delightful, my dear.
Come right over
recommended himself to Georgiana that she believed herself to be in love with him and agreed to elope with him. She was then but 15 years old. Georgiana.
William, I'm so sorry.
My sister confessed that plan to me just days before it was to take place. You may imagine how I felt and how I acted.
Wake up! Truth! Darcy! Truth! You no good blackguard! I ought to squeeze the miserable life out of you right now. But that would not be gentleman-like, Darcy. And you were always the consummate gentleman. Darcy!
Near Georgiana ever again. So help me, I will take your vile head off your filthy neck. Do you fully comprehend me?
Yes! Yes. It is very clear indeed. Miss Darcy.
Wickham's chief object was unquestionably my sister's fortune. I cannot help but suppose the hope of revenging himself on me was a strong inducement. His revenge would have been complete indeed. For the truth of these particulars, you can apply to Colonel Fitzwilliam, who, alongside myself, is Georgiana's guardian. Please accept my best wishes for your health and your happiness. I will add nothing